It's the Cassius Morris Show. Thank you for tuning in once again. We're back with a really fun interview today with Jay Buchanan, lead vocalist of Rival Sons, a fantastic rock group. I got to catch up with Jay backstage at their concert at Union Hall in Edmonton. And very, very cool experience, always going into a band's dressing room. There's always little things that you pick up on, little personality traits, sort of, so to speak, that you can get to know about the band. And sort of a recording like this really gives you an idea of what it's like to actually go into your favorite band's dressing room, whoever that may be, and sit down and talk with them. And it's sort of a real, raw, fly-on-the-wall type of experience. I'm not looking for a Hollywood production with this. We're not looking for anything like that. All I'm looking to do is put you guys in my shoes and bring you guys in the dressing room. Had a lot of fun. I want to thank Jay and everyone over at Rival Sons and Rock Nation for helping me arrange this interview and being such a pleasure to work with. And I hope to be working with you guys again in the very near future. Of course, make sure to go check out Rival Sons. They're constantly out on tour. And I mean constantly. That's one of the things that they're known for. Go to rivalsons.com and you can check out all of their tour dates, everything they got coming up. They're at Rival Sons on Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. And with that, let's get into the interview.
All right, so let's keep going.
Okay, yeah, let's just keep going. So you said you're about 10 days into the tour. And again, you said it's been a while since you've played a venue as small as this, because you guys are typically doing the large arenas. So what's the transition like been for you going back and forth to the smaller to larger?
Well, I mean, just to qualify, I would love to pump us up and tell you that we're in arenas all the time. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that isn't the case. We're really, Rival Sons is still earning its way onto the arena stage. You know, like, first time you probably ever saw us was when we passed through here opening for Black Sabbath. Mm-hmm. And yeah, okay, so we were out with Sabbath for 13 months and on their arena stages. We've toured with everyone. Yeah. We've opened for everybody. Yeah. And but for the most part, us headlining, we still aren't headlining our own arena shows. We're in most places, I guess, we're headlining like large theaters, you know, yeah, like 3,000, yeah, you know. So, but we're still, you know, arenas are like, you know, 15,000 typically, yeah. But you know, it's increasing in a lot of different territories, you know, throughout Europe and Scandinavia and even in the States, you know, New York and goodness, Detroit, Toronto, yeah, and Chicago, Los Angeles. In a lot of these places we do very, very well. Yeah, I can totally imagine. But then we're here at this, what do you fit 5 people in this little club? This is we haven't been in a club this small in a long time. But, you know, we also, I understand that we haven't really paid our dues in Edmonton, you know. You have to, it takes coming through town. I know that we had a #1 single on rock radio here in Canada this year, but that doesn't necessarily translate to playing large places. So we'll see how tonight goes. I know that the Canadian audience as a whole is rock music, and especially rock and roll is still a very sacred thing. So we'll see how it goes. 100%. I like that a lot, and it will be an interesting chance for the fans to see you in a really unique up close environment as opposed to the bigger shows. And that being said, after a while of, let's say, doing theater shows, does that start to feel like sort of a home stage for you? Do you feel more comfortable there after a while, or is it very easy for you to transition? I think that's a good question, actually. I think that I've become more used to the larger stages by now. But when you come back on a smaller stage, you just have to kind of, you have to go back, when, you know, on a small stage, like, the sound just isn't going to be very good, man. Mm-hmm. Everybody's too damn loud. You know, this is a small place for Rival Sons, and with the volume that we have, our stage volume. Yeah. And so you know, you trade the intimate audience for a good sound quality. For us on stage, I'm sure that for the people in the audience, it's going to be great because it's going to be so in their faces, you know. Yes. It's going to provide for a really intimate experience, I think.
Yeah. So it's a really different experience for the audience versus you guys at a show like this.
I think it's definitely a different experience for us too, you know, just because we're so close together, we're just falling all over each other, you know, on a little stage like this. Right. But you know, we'll make it work. Yeah. Yeah. We spent a lot of time on these small stages, so no worries.
You know, the one thing that I appreciate about you guys as a band, and I always have since I was first exposed to you, is that you guys never came in this to play around. Like, you guys always seem like you're very serious, you're incredibly dedicated, and you have, like, just that passion and that energy that's so intense, and you can feel that as an audience member. So I guess, talk to me about, like, the roots of that. Did you guys sort of have to fight to get attention on stages where you first started?
Well, I believe to answer that, you got to go further back than Rival Sons, because everyone in the band, we're all career musicians. We've been playing since we were young boys, you know, and we've all had so many bands and record deals and touring and all of that stuff under our belts. So I think that by the time we all got together, everyone was already so serious about what they were doing. They were in it for keeps, you know, and so nobody was there to fuck around even a little bit, you know, and that was one thing. It's not to say like we aren't having fun or anything. Yeah, of course I'm having a good time, but like the focus is on the music. It's music first, and like any of that vaudeville, you know, we're not really, the band isn't, you know, there's a lot of different kinds of entertainers out there, and bless all their hearts, you know, because we were talking about this before we started the podcast. There are so many different types of rock music in general, and so many different types of performers and everything. I know there's a lot of actors out there that the vaudeville is just as important as the music, and the acting is part of the music and everything, and I can appreciate that, you know. Yeah.
But that's not you.
No, that's not Rival Sons for sure. With the music, it's really all about the music, and I know that's a cliche, but like the music comes first, and it's pretty much that's pretty much that, and it's been that way from the beginning, and you know, it's nothing against these other musicians or performers or whatever, you know. Everybody's got to do it the way they see fit, but that's you know, that's the way we do it.
Yeah, music first, music oriented. I mean, I think it might have only become cliche from dedicated artists. You know, I mean, I don't hear it as much as I'd like to nowadays, which is interesting. I guess talking about the latest project that you guys just put out, live from the Hayback Studios.
Oh, the Hay Bales.
Hay Bale. My apologies. At Bonnaroo.
That was, you know, that was a really accidental thing. We had the great fortune of playing the main stage at Bonnaroo this year. That was our first time ever playing. That's an amazing festival.
Sacred, yeah.
So for us to play the main stage, we played like an early slot, and we actually opened the festival. We were the first band to play on the main stage at the festival. We still had an amazing audience, and people were coming in, and so what's so interesting about it is we had our one set, and we played a full set. I mean, you know, like an hour or so, and for me, vocally, just swinging for the fences. Like this is a really important show, if not the most important show probably of the year in terms of our exposure. And I really want to prove to all of those people that we deserve to be at this fucking festival. Rock and roll deserves a place at the modern table, you know, and it isn't just an antiquated novelty thing. Rock and roll, it's a real medium. And so anyways, at that show, I sang my throat out. I really swung for the fences, you know. I do that every time, but specifically it was like, I might as well just die at the end of the day, because this may be the last time I'll ever be on stage. Just approaching it that way. because it was important to me. It was an important show. So then we get off stage, and I've got some interviews, and I've got some people to talk to, and we have our agents there and everything, and it's really hot out. It's a beautiful day, but my tour manager Pete comes over to me and he says, "Hey man, we got to go. You got to go sing. You got to go do these hay bale sessions. You and Scott." Like, oh, and my voice was so chewed up.
Oh man.
And so, so we went over there, and it's this like single wide trailer that's surrounded by hay bales. The entire thing is surrounded by hay bales, and it was really cool. And it was nice and insulated because of that too.
Right.
The air conditioning worked, and it was nice. But we went in there. They had fantastic instruments and great amplifiers and microphones and everything. And so then got in there, tuned up a couple of guitars. One of them I was trying to play didn't really work, so I grabbed another one, and then Scott ended up finding a good one to play. And so we went over there, and I went to open my mouth to start singing, like there was no voice there.
Oh wow.
It was so chewed up. So anyone that listens to this, if you listen to those hay bale sessions, you're gonna hear my voice is so chewed up.
Wow.
It's like I swallowed Drano or something,
That's insane. And you still sound really good too, but there's definitely that rasp in there. So that's fascinating to hear the backstory.
Very, very raspy. But then
Wow.
again, it was just another one of those things where we're there, and the producer, the engineer, and the other hands on deck that they had at the hay bale sessions, everybody was really cool. Very, really irie vibe, and it was just one of those things like, okay, well, we're gonna figure out how to do this right now. We'll make this work.
Wow. And you did it.
Yeah, and we did it, and we had to do 2 takes because we started Jordan, and I was playing guitar, and I was thinking about my voice so much and how jacked up it was that I've been playing Jordan for over 6-7 years now. But where I messed up one of the guitar chords or something like that, so we just stopped. I stopped right. I went, all right, okay, that's we'll do one. But other than that, it was just first takes of each of those 3 songs. And what's funny is I wasn't really planning on much coming out of it, but then they sent it back to us, and the hay bale session people and the Bonnaroo people, everyone was pretty pumped up about the performances.
That's so cool.
Just one of those serendipitous things where it gave us some traction, and then you can buy it on iTunes now.
Yeah.
Guess that's the way it works.
That's so cool. See, I like that you guys are open to doing something spontaneous like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. Of course.
And you guys actually used the instruments that were at the hay bale studios already.
Just did it that way, and they tried to set me up with this one, like a large diaphragm condenser mic, and I started singing. I was explaining to them, like, just give me a Shure SM7, because it's going to make everything easier, I know those mics, and those mics are built to take whatever you throw at them. So
is that one of your go-tos?
I think in the studio lately it has been. I've sang through just about every goddamn microphone out there, but the SM7 seems to be, especially if you get a good one, if you get a really good one, it treats my voice right, without making it sound too brittle.
Right. That's very cool. I'm curious, you mentioned about Bonnaroo, how much that was, it felt like, a big load to say, hey, rock and roll does belong at this festival. Not only that, we're going to kick ass and blow the roof off. Yeah. And, a lot of people have cited Rival Sons as sort of carrying the torch for rock and roll and being one of the major forces to keep it alive right now. Do you ever think about that? And if so, do you feel pressure from that at all?
Well, yeah, I think about it. It's mostly when I'm talking to people like you. We're talking about where does Rival Sons fit in the popular vernacular, I don't, in terms of responsibility, I don't, there's no pressure or responsibility. I think that if we had set out trying to do a certain thing that was unnatural to us, or if we were trying to fit into a mold, and if it were a difficult suit to put on, and that didn't fit right, I think you would have trouble that way. But I think that we've just done our thing our way. Yeah. From the beginning, right out of the gate, we just do it. because I feel like the sound of this band is a lot of the tension, you know, like the guys are real rock and rollers. Miley's a big jazz drummer and everything, but then he plays rock and roll, and then you know, Scott loves rock and roll and psychedelic music, like cool. Much more than I do. Like, yeah, I love rock and roll and all of that, just like everybody does. But for me, I'm much more of a singer-songwriter at heart. But just rock and roll music, it was just something I was able to do. And so when we got together, I was just, I had no plans on the band being as successful as it's been. I took it on as a, all right, yeah, let's get this band together. Just as a side project, just get some kicks around Hollywood and just play some rock and roll shows here and there. I had no idea there was such a void in the world for a rock and roll band. But
yeah,
talking about like the pressure or anything like that, I just see like we're just part of that lineage, you know. I look to bands like, you know, before us, you know, the Black Keys were doing their things, and then we had Jack White, you know, who's really carried the torch, and you know, these bands.
Yeah.
But they're really doing hybrids of rhythm and blues music, and I think it's great to hear people's hybrid version of that. And then, you know, before them, you had you know, Lenny Kravitz has been going full steam the whole time, making great records. Like that guy just makes great records.
Seriously.
And
consistently.
Yeah, consistently.
Yeah.
And he's really fun to tour with and to play with. And but before, you know, when the Black Crowes were playing together, and they carried the torch, and they were just themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that we fit that blueprint. We're just like we're a typical rhythm and blues, you know, rock and roll band.
Yeah. I love that. Jay, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, of course. Pleasure's mine, Cassius.